Welcome to another special Saturday edition of Daily Dose of Septuagint, and we are going to continue taking a look at Codex Vaticanus, this very famous pandect manuscript that includes both the Greek Old Testament as well as the Greek New Testament. And we'll be using the facsimile edition, but if you're interested in taking a look at the high-res images, the Vatican Library has made them available at the link shown there on the screen. We'll continue focusing in on some of the scribal features of the manuscript. And just to remind ourselves, this is a 3-column layout, nicely justified, as you can see. And last go around, we talked about a few different ways scribes mark up the start of new paragraphs. So for instance, you see the paragraphos marking here, as well as in a large space. Over here, you see essentially what is a modern equivalent of a carriage return plus ekthesis into the margin, where the first letter of the start of a new paragraph or sentence is jutted into the left margin or outdented, if you will. We're going to now zoom in, though, on some scribal corrections. And this is from Isaiah chapter 41. We're not going to read it directly, but the scribe is writing along, doing pretty well, writing. And then at some point, realize, wait a second, I forgot something. I forgot eis hadon. And so either the scribe himself or perhaps a later corrector added this eis hadon above the line. This you can either call this supralinearly or intralinearly. And they're like, wait a second, we forgot it. We added that back in, into the path or something like that. And so that was one option where a scribe could correct his own work, or a later corrector and fix it, not necessarily by erasing, maybe it was too late for that, but by kind of what we do today with track changes, sort of adding it into the manuscript itself in between the lines. Just to scroll down a bit, this is the start of Isaiah 42, and just to remind ourselves of yet another feature that we've talked about. Notice here is a paragraph number, and mu is 40, alpha is 1, so this is 41, at least according to this scribe. It just so happens that this is the start of 42 in the way we know it, and that's mostly coincidence because the English numbering doesn't really track with the scribe of Vaticanus. They just happen to be somewhat close here. And we begin in 42:1 with Jacob, ha pais. So this is a servant song. He's my servant, mu. And anti-lempsomai here is quite interesting. It's a big word, and you can tell it's a future middle. It's from anti-lambano, and so the beta has square stops here with the psi. The original scribe correctly put a mu here, because that's how this word is spelled in the future. However, when this manuscript was re-inked some decades or centuries later, for whatever reason, the re-inker didn't want to re-ink that. Perhaps by his day, the use of that mu before the psi was not common or something. Don't know exactly why, but he chose not to re-ink it, so that it becomes anti-lempsomai as opposed to anti-lempsomai with that M. But let's focus in on verse 6 of Isaiah chapter 42. And I really want to look at this addition in the margin, but let's get there. And we're picking up kind of in the middle of the verse here. So we'll add some help on the screen. And so the beginning of the verse is on the prior column, so we're not going to go back down to that. So sort of picking up in the middle, tes cheras. And cheras is from cher, which is hand. Notice it is third declension, which is why it's got the os genitive. It does match with tes because it is feminine, but it's third declension spelling. So it's the hand, and it's your hand. Now, the next clause, though, begins with a chi, and then it's eniskuso. So the scribe here has wrapped around. This is a future first singular with that sigma plus the omega. You got to remember your lunate sigmas here. So it's I will strengthen. That's what eniskuso is, and I will strengthen you. And so I can put it now on the screen. So you got tes kerasu kai eniskuso se. Then we have yet another chi, and then we have a verb edoka. This is, of course, the first singular from didomi, and it's I, gave or have given you. I have given you. Again, he's referring back to that pais, that servant. And he's given you eis diathekane, as, and then eis takes the accusative, hence the eta nu, that's the accusative singular feminine, as a covenant of genus, and that would be of peoples or something like that. Eis diatheke genus. And there you can see all of that on the screen with this diatheke and the genus. Now, what he does is he continues with anoixai, ophthalmos, and so forth to open the eyes and blah, blah, blah. He continues with the verse. And then he realizes, wait a second, there's supposed to be something else there. And we don't know exactly when he realized this. It could have been later. It could have been the scribe himself, could have been the proofreader. It's like, wait a second, we're missing something. The critical text is eis phos ethnon, as a light of the people, of the nations or the Gentiles. And so what he does is, maybe it was too late again to erase, didn't want to try to squeeze it in because that's a lot. So he puts what is called an Aristarchian siglum. In this case, this is a dotted obelus to say, wait a second, right here, I need to add something back. So if you're the reader or a later copyist who's using this, you need to add this in. And then in the margins, he puts the same symbol so that they're connected to each other. It's basically like a modern footnote. And he adds eis phos ethnon there, exactly the right text. And so what's interesting is that in like a critical edition, you might have this as the reading and then this as the marginal addition, because the original scribe left it out and then it was added in the margins. And this again illustrates yet another option on the table for your scribes of how to fix their work. And this is a really important slip up to correct, because central to the idea of this servant figure, especially in Isaiah 42 as well as Isaiah 49, is that the servant is for the nations, not just for the people of Israel. Of course, the New Testament authors pick up on that as well when they describe the mission of Jesus being this very light to the Gentiles or to the nations. So really quite significant that the copyist here, or again, a later editor of some sort, picked up on that and made sure it was in the text, because you don't want to shortcut what the servant is supposed to do. Yes, he's a covenant for peoples, but he's also a light for all the nations. And so interesting little glimpse into the world of scribes today and how they might correct their work.